Let's roll. This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency. The pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. The Monday Night Meltdown has begun. Countdown to Madness is officially on. We'll be breaking it down all week long, starting tomorrow night with the play-in games. We're going to be breaking it down tonight, game by game. We'll go over each region. We'll take a look at the odds and everything else in between. I've got a bracket filled out, although we're going to play more than one. And we've got our final four set in place. Although I will tell you, I really don't think anything really matters. I don't think anybody's going to be able to beat the UConn Huskies. I do think UConn are going to become the first team to repeat since the Florida Gators of the mid-2000s that were a damn good basketball team. UConn are the best team in the country. And I actually think we're getting pretty good odds, all things considering. Like, I think they're a lot better than everybody else. You can make an argument for a couple of teams if you want, but we'll get into this. We've got games to break down. Joe Madden's going to step up and in. We'll take a look at the Buffalo Sabres and the Seattle Kraken. The Flames are in action right now as we speak. The Philadelphia 76ers are about to beat the Miami Heat. They're up 98-91 right now with 12 seconds remaining in this game. I don't often we talk about it. There's always a parlay buster. There's always going to be an upset. So I'm not a massive fan of playing these chalky, the Captain Chalk moneyline parlays when it comes to the NBA. The NBA is pretty erratic, but it feels like tonight it'll happen. Atlanta won last night. They played against the Clippers. They're not going back-to-back. The Lakers will get the dub tonight. Speaking of the dubs, the Golden State Warriors take on the Knicks tonight. It's a tall task. The New York Knicks starting lineup this is a team that's got some serious injury problems. And, Anunoby's out again for an extended period of time. Of course, he was out. He came back, but he's injured again right now. So I think it's a chalk night tonight. So let's play a moneyline parlay. It's plus 100. Sacramento to win, Golden State to win, and the Lakers to win. Plus 100. Shout out to everybody joining us on SiriusXM, channel 159. I am Gabriel Morency. This is Sports Rage on the SportsGrid radio and television networks. Countdown to the tournament is on. We're going to be breaking it down all night long, all week long. But we do have some NBA basketball in the late night hours. We're going to take a moneyline parlay with Sacramento, the Golden State Warriors, and the Los Angeles Lakers. There's one game that hasn't started in the National Hockey League yet, and that's the Buffalo Sabres and the Seattle Kraken. The Buffalo Sabres fighting for their playoff lives. The Kraken are not going to be I don't think either team's going to make the playoffs. I wanted to buy in on the Buffalo Sabres. We talked about it over the weekend. They were 16-1 to make the playoffs, plus 1,600. But I got to tell you, the Sabres, they're playing good hockey, and the teams ahead of them are not playing great, but it's very difficult to catch teams in the National Hockey League when everybody gets a point, right? But every game, listen, it's fun for Sabre fans. The Buffalo Sabres have the longest drought in pro sports without making the playoffs. Like, everybody's made the playoffs. They don't make the playoffs. The Sabres haven't made the playoffs since 2010, the 2010 season /11, 2010-11 season. That's pretty hard to do, actually. It's not easy to make the playoffs in the NHL. It's tough because everyone's so evenly matched, but it's sort of like, it's like going 0 for 5 every week in the National Football League or something like that. It's not easy to do, right? You figure, like, at some point, like over like a 14-year span, you figure you'd be good. Like, I don't know, a couple of times we were good, right? Hell, the Montreal Canadiens, like, were in the Stanley Cup Finals a couple of years ago. Now they're terrible, but right, like the Sabres really haven't ever had a taste of anything. So it's hard not to pull for them and want them to get it done. So we've got NHL hockey tonight. The Seattle Kraken are not playing well. It's a toss-up of a game. All Buffalo games, are toss-ups. But considering, Buffalo are playing well right now, and they are on a mission, it would be Buffalo or pass for me, even though the game is just generally a pick 'em. I'm not in love with the card tonight. We've got these NBA games. I'm going to play a moneyline parlay there. We'll play a small play on the Buffalo Sabres, but it's kind of just a calm before the storm as the NCAA tournament is set to begin tomorrow night. We've got some cool play-in games this year. And, of course, the Los Angeles Dodgers Major League Baseball. The season's set to begin, like tomorrow night. It's Wednesday morning, but if you're West Coast, it's Tuesday night. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be like at 3 in the morning. So baseball is here. We got a 2-game set. So if you're getting in on player props involving anybody on San Diego or Los Angeles, you got to do it like today, tomorrow type of deal. I did a video over the weekend talking about that. It's time to pull the trigger. And for those of you that pay attention to the program, you know, every time we've talked about Major League Baseball futures, I brought up the San Francisco Giants. And the Giants are one of these teams in which they never should be as good as they are. But it's like every 2-3 years, the San Francisco Giants are just really good. It just is what it is, and nobody expects it. I mean, hell, 2 years ago, bro, they won like 107 games 3 years ago. Like they gave the Dodgers, like it was like they won the division. Dodgers won 106. San Francisco didn't have anybody on the team. I don't know how the hell they did it. But don't look now. San Francisco have a lot of players on this team right now, and they were 81.5. The win total. The win total is now 83.5 as we've got late night breaking news. Blake Snell has finally signed. Blake Snell has signed a 2-year, $62 million contract with the San Francisco Giants. A San Francisco Giant baseball team that has relentlessly pursued big-time free agents over the past years. They were all in on Aaron Judge. Judge stayed with the Yankees. They were all in on Bryce Harper. Harper ended up signing with the Philadelphia Phillies. They tried to get Stanton before, right? They wanted to get Ohtani. Like San Francisco are often in the mix. I think they have a very hardcore, loyal fan base that have been getting a little bit frustrated, and ownership has stepped up in a big-time way. They're a greatly improved team. Their win total was 81.5. We just, the updated number right now, 83.5 after they get Blake Snell. Now, don't forget, they brought in the Korean League MVP. So they bring in a new hitter from Korea. They acquire Soler. They add Soler to their lineup and Matt Chapman to the lineup. And now you bring in Blake Snell. Well, you got 4 new players on this team that are all pretty good. Right, Chapman, whatever. Chapman isn't in his prime anymore, but the guy's one of the best defensive players in the game, and that's going to shore up their defense. Now you bring in a Cy Young award-winning pitcher in Blake Snell. Hard not to like what the San Francisco Giants have done, and I think they're going to be in a mix battling for a playoff spot, and I still like them to go over their updated number at 83.5. And as a Dodger fan, I don't like pumping the Giants' tires up, but they're going to be a good baseball team. Right? They're going to be a good baseball team, and I think they're going to go over 83.5 with the acquisition of Blake Snell. The Monday Night Meltdown has begun. This is SportsRage.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the movie that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
Unlike the last one, I don't think these managers are going to sign up for a 1-1 draw. I think the Spurs know they need to win this one. They need the full 3 points to try to get into Champions League position.
But generally speaking, I find Klopp and Liverpool's approach to be much more effective, which is you disrupt those patterns of play, you get in the middle of those triangles, and you put them on the back foot.
Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca. Only on SportsGrid.
Hunter Dickinson and Kevin McCullough Jr. are not going to be fully healthy for the NCAA tournament. I think KU might be in danger of a very early round of 64 exit in the Big Dance.
They're playing really, really good defense, and to me, that's what you need this time of year. You got to be playing great defensively to give yourself a chance. Not like Kentucky, who gave up 97 last night.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. The Monday Night Meltdown has begun. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, Sirius XM Channel 159 on the SportsGrid Radio and television networks, and many more affiliates, platforms, networks, and everything else in between. If you're just joining us right now, Blake Snell has just signed a 2-year deal with the San Francisco Giants. 2 years, $62 million. The San Francisco Giant win total was 81.5 before. It's been updated. They added 2 wins to the Giants' win total, which I still think is a fair value right now at over 83.5, with a team that brings in the Korean MVP, Matt Chapman, Jorge Soler, and now Blake Snell added to the rotation. San Francisco always punch above their body weight as well, but and they have money. So, like, they wouldn't be done. Like, you know what I mean? Like, at the trade deadline, they'll be in the mix. San Francisco mean business. And the New York Yankees, for Yankee fans, George Kurtz will join us a little bit later on. I find it hard to believe that the Yankees couldn't afford $60 million, as reports are Blake Snell was willing to sign and was ready to sign with the New York Yankees. He wanted $60 million for a 2-year contract. San Francisco found out that the Yankees weren't going to do it, and they gave him $62 million. Nothing wrong with an extra $2 million added on the top. So he gets $31 million per year. And the baseball season starts tomorrow night / Wednesday morning, East Coast, overnight for those of us on the West Coast on Tuesday night with the Dodgers. And San Diego getting the season started with a 2-game set. The Knicks starting lineup tonight, Hartenstein, Hart, McBride. They've got issues, all right? The New York Knicks are shorthanded tonight against the Golden State Warriors. We've got NHL hockey. We've already got a couple of goals early in Seattle tonight. The Buffalo Sabres battling and trying to get into the postseason. And the Seattle Kraken season is just, it's getting away from them. We've had 2 early goals in this hockey game already. Let's bring in Joe Madden and Cam Stewart right now. It's a goal-a-palooza early here, Joe. Good to see you, Cam. We'll start with you, Joe. Your Calgary Flames are in a lot of trouble right now. They're down 4-1 to the Washington Capitals.
What? Are you shocked the Calgary Flames are in trouble right now? I'm not shocked. We've had Dustin Wolf in for a couple of these games, and he's been absolutely phenomenal. But the Washington Capitals need this win, and they come out and proven that they have every ability. Ovechkin, I believe, has already got 2 of those goals. So I do think the Washington Capitals will get the win tonight. I took them early, but it's interesting. We know the Calgary Flames have had the ability to come back in the third period. They're plus 1,400 right now on that money line. So tempting, but I did take Washington prior to this game and the over. So that live total sitting at 7.5 plus 104 to the over. If Calgary has a chance of coming back, we've already got 5 goals, you guys. There's a whole period left. I take the over 7.5.
Agreed. Buffalo just scored again.
Yeah. How about them Sabres? Sabres hockey.
And there are some sports books right now that say it's 3-0, which will get people excited. It's not 3-0. It's 2-1 now. There's been 3 goals in 3 minutes.
Morency, I saw 3-0, and I'm like, this is amazing.
It says 2-0. They just took a goal off. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
Hey, whoever's ever working at this book, are you drunk? You got to figure it out. I'm with Joe. Take the over 7.5 in Calgary.
Now it's 0-0. They're just screwed. They're drunk. They're now 0. They're like,
dude, put down the tumbler and get it together. This is one of the worst moves ever.
I'm looking at multiple sites now. I'm blacked out, Joe. I don't get Seattle games. I don't get Seattle home games. I'm blacked out for the Seattle Kraken. So I don't know. I can't see it live, but I'm literally seeing sportsbook saying it's 0-0 now. They just had a 3-0.
Wow.
But it's 2-1. 2-1 Buffalo. Jeez, like this is insane. There's been 3 goals, and we're at the 15-22 mark. But they've logged it now.
Yeah. What do you guys think about the under 8.5, Gabe? That's a hot start, but I can't. 9 goals is a lot of damn. You know what? Screw it. Let's throw another log on the fire. Flames over 7.5. Sabres under 8.5. That's the way I'm rolling. And Calgary plus 2.5 is actually crazy plus money. Gabe, they got on.
I don't know, Cam.
FanDuel?
This might be like a 5-4 game, this Buffalo-Seattle game. Like after the first period type thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
one of those
not
nights.
at the end. Like, it's 2-1, 4 minutes in.
I need Buffalo. But Gabe,
it might be 3-2. It might be 3-2 at the end of this period type deal.
Really? Well, I wish we had the grand salami because we already got 5 goals. Washington scored 4-1. Here's the deal. I don't want to lay 210 with Calgary. On FanDuel Ontario, they have Calgary plus 3.5 minus 200. I would like to, if it was like, why do you guys just offer a 2.5 to plus? Like, I always do that. It's like, I wish we could parlay it, Gabe, but you might be onto something. Sometimes just games get crazy, but 9 goals with the crack. Do you know that total, Joe and Gabe, was 5.5 on the books? So they're already like, you bet the over, you're sitting pretty right now.
It's 3-1 now. I'm seeing on FanDuel.
Yeah,
Buffalo's up
Sabres!
3-1.
Hey.
Well, hold on.
I am
This can't be real.
They did. I told you, Cam. I was like, I don't know, bro. There might be a lot of goals here. They scored again.
Can we go 9.5?
These guys are scoring more goals than like this team. These teams hit 3-point shots. It's like goals like they're shooting. Goal. What kind of goaltending is going on in this game? They got 4 goals.
Might as well put a sieve in there. Collender, this goalie reeks for Seattle. Is it Grubauer or Decord? Like, anyway, whoever the hell it is, he stinks.
Joey Decord in that.
Joey Decord? Well, he's coming down to earth quick. This Seattle team, Gabe's right. The Kraken were like one of these teams, and I just watched them play. No attention to detail. Their goaltending overachieved all year, Joe. You know, they have veteran stars that kind of are tapping out, Gabe. I don't know, 9.5. Can I interest you in a 9.5?
Yeah, Decord's in that. I think maybe they play to the adrenaline of being a new franchise or something, and now reality's caught up to them.
Yep.
But this is a disappointing season. I thought they were going to be a much more competitive team this year. They're not a good home team. They've never really gotten on any prolonged win streak this year at all, Joe, this Seattle Kraken team. It's just been sort of a frustrating year for them, but big-time win right now in the process for the Buffalo Sabres. A Buffalo Sabre team that hasn't made the playoffs in like 14 years, which is almost like impossible to do. Like, I don't understand how that's almost like, it's like, really? It's one thing to say, all right, you haven't won a playoff series or something like that, but they haven't made the playoffs since the 2010/11 season. They were plus 1,600 on Saturday morning, like / Friday night, Saturday morning before they were playing the Islanders over the weekend. They were plus 1,600. It's been taken off the board right now, but Sabres up 3-1, Capitals up 4-1 right now. 7.5 is the total in the Capitals and the Flames. And we got a 9.5 now, but it's minus 180 to the under 9.5, Cam, in Buffalo and Seattle.
That juice is just a little thick. And you're right, this could turn into some crazy game, maybe like 7-3 or something like that. Who knows what the hell's going on? I Gabe, on my one site, I got 9.5, 40 cents. I think, you know what? That's pretty good for the juice. I don't know, 10 goals, buddy? We need 6 more?
I doubt they get to 10.
I agree. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to take the under at this point. I can't endorse the over. No.
You know what I'm going to do? Sorry, Joe, Cam, but I'm going to wait. Let's wait till let's see what happens in this first period. Because at intermission, both coaches are going to flip out.
They are.
And, like, the defensemen will snap. Not just the coaches, but everyone in the room is going to go, guys, like, come on. Like, we got to tighten things up a little bit here. So even at some point, even now, it could happen. You know, it just moved to 8.5 right now, but I'm not in a hurry here. Especially, I'm not seeing it, too, because it's pretty chaotic. I mean, you got 4 goals in less than 8 minutes' time. They're averaging a goal every 2 minutes. In this game right now. NBA basketball, New York Knicks off to a strong start. They're up 15-4 on the Warriors, so it's a good time to jump in on the Warriors if you didn't get in on this game. The Warriors are suddenly minus 135 on the money line, minus 2.5 on the point spread, and this is an overreaction. 15-4 is nothing in an NBA game. Memphis up 10-8 on Sacktown right now. The Blazers were down big to the Bulls. So they came back. The Bulls are winning right now, 106-105. And we got a 61-61 game with the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Utah Jazz in the city that has no jazz bars.
Yes.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the movie that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
Unlike the last one, I don't think these managers are going to sign up for a 1-1 draw. I think the Spurs know they need to win this one. They need the full 3 points to try to get into Champions League position.
But generally speaking, I find Klopp and Liverpool's approach to be much more effective, which is you disrupt those patterns of play, you get in the middle of those triangles, and you put them on the back foot.
Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca. Only on SportsGrid.
Hunter Dickinson and Kevin McCullough Jr. are not going to be fully healthy for the NCAA tournament. I think KU might be in danger of a very early round of 64 exit in the big dance.
They're playing really, really good defense. And to me, that's what you need this time of year. You got to be playing great defensively to give yourself a chance. Not like Kentucky, who gave up 97 last night.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
$18-4 for the New York Knicks. Whoa. 18-4. The Golden State Warriors are currently, it's minus 110 right now. So the game is essentially a pick-em. The total is 210.5. We'll keep our eye on this. Memphis and Sacramento, 16-14 early. I played the moneyline parlay that's certain to lose. And at the last second, I jumped in on the Buffalo Sabres just for the sort of, ride the wave here as they try to play themselves into the playoffs. So, of course, it was the Players' Championship over the weekend as well. And we had Wyndham Clark at 50-1. And I should have known that it was too hard to go wire to wire, but I was kind of confident. Like, I felt pretty good, actually, about it. I didn't cash out. In hindsight, I was like, I should have cashed out. But I didn't think Xander was the one he was competing with for the most part, Cam. So I was like, whatever. Xander will choke like he always does. He won't win. And it'll be fine. Wyndham Clark will be fine. What I didn't see was Scotty Scheffler. But Scheffler was always just lurking, bro. He was always only like 3-4 shots behind, 5 shots behind the whole time. And he's a killer. Like the guy, man, he sees that finish line, Scheffler. He's got the best killer instinct on the PGA Tour right now. So close to going to to overtime with Wyndham Clark, pulling that out at the end. But hey, it is what it is. That's golf betting, but it was pretty frustrating because I was getting murdered with college basketball. And I was like, well, if Wyndham Clark wins, that'll make up for a lot of bad college basketball bets. Yep. But that didn't happen. He did not win.
I'm going to tell you something. Aerodynamically on 18, a ball goes down the hole and pops out. That happens 0 out of 100 times, except for when me and you have money at. The ball was in the hole and went, like defying gravity. But let's put it this way. We were in a good hedge situation. That's the thing about Scheffler. He was making a move. Do you know Scheffler now is 4-1 to win the Masters? 4-1, people. I've been betting golf my whole life. Tiger Woods was more than 4-1. Yeah. Why? Are you going to put it past him? The guy had a bad neck and he still wins the golf tournament. And as for Xander Schauffele, Gabe, as we talked about, he's an unbettable commodity. He always finds a way to lose. That was his tournament. He made some mistakes down the stretch. Wyndham Clark putted horribly all day. He should have won that tournament, but kudos to Scotty Scheffler. You said it, Gabe. He's the only guy who doesn't gag. Killer instinct. Guy's the best.
And, of course, the brackets have been announced. Joe, have you filled a bracket out?
Yeah, I absolutely have. I'm so excited for it all. I've got UConn, Houston. I think they take it all.
What's that's your national championship game? UConn versus Houston?
It is. Yeah, and I think UConn can repeat. I really do think they have every ability. I think they're such a strong team. They've got everything to be able to do it. I would love to see the upset, but I'm just looking over everything, and I don't know. I can't really see the team that I think can get the upset. Can you guys?
I think UConn are the best team. So I actually do believe UConn are going to win the championship and become the first team to repeat since the Florida Gators of, 2005, 2006. But it's college basketball, right? It's a 40-minute game. We're talking it's not even 48 minutes. It's 40 minutes. You're playing 2 20-minute halves. A team can get hot. A team can get cold. Stuff can happen in a game. But UConn are going to be difficult to beat. They don't, thing is, people are talking a lot about UConn's path, and it's not easy. But no one's path really is easy. I mean, we're in a competitive era right now in which even if you're a 1 seed, you're going to have a tough game in your second game, which before it wasn't that way. Like in the old days, if you're a 1 seed, you really weren't threatened until the Sweet 16. And then even then, it was we don't really play anybody until the Elite 8. The tournament, these teams are so good now. Like a good example is Purdue, right? Purdue had a great season. They're a 1 seed. They win their first game. Okay, fine. they have to play either Utah State or TCU, neither of which are easy to deal with, specifically TCU, who I think will beat Utah State. Like TCU play in the Big 12. Like they play the Houston Cougars twice a year. They play the Jayhawks twice a year. They play Baylor twice a year. They play Texas twice a year. They will not be intimidated by the Purdue Boilermakers, right? And they've got athletes that'll be able to battle with them. But as far as UConn, Joe, I'm all in on the UConn Huskies. I do think they're going to repeat, but they don't have the easiest path. They're going to have to play against Auburn. I think San Diego State or Auburn, I think they can handle them, but Auburn's a very difficult team to deal with. And they have to deal with Iowa State down the road as well. Iowa State are another very good team. So it's not a lock, Joe, but I'm feeling pretty good about UConn winning this thing.
Yeah, I'm feeling really good about them as well. UConn?
I like UConn. Gabe knows that I have futures on them earlier on in the season, and now their numbers really down. So that was one smart investment I made, and it's good. But even looking, Gabe, at the bottom, I know the Pac-12 never gets any credit. Arizona's got a nice little path to go deep. I know they got to play Baylor. The Bears are a very good team, but I worry about the Arizona Wildcats because of their play on the road. But maybe they can get hot. They do have a really good team, but it's going to be fantastic. You saw what Iowa State did, Gabe. That team, they scare me. And remember, we watched them earlier this year against Houston. It was an absolute dogfight. The Cyclones are very scary because they play defense. And they're scoring. I think they're a very, very solid basketball team. Maybe a nice pooch.
Arizona are a 2 seed. They'll have their hands full right away as well. That's what I'm saying. Like Arizona, they're not just going to be – it won't be an easy second game for them. They're either going to get Dayton or Nevada, either which. Dayton will be a weird matchup for them because Dayton play pretty slow and just want to grind it out. They're like a Midwest, just sort of grinding, tough team. And Nevada won't be scared of Arizona. Nevada will say, all right, let's go. Let's start shooting threes and see who hits more threes here right now. I do think Arizona are going to go on a little run, but I've got them losing in the listen, it's going to be Arizona versus Baylor. So I guess take your pick.
Yeah, I like that.
I think Baylor will beat Arizona personally. And then but I got Arizona. Actually, you know what? I got Arizona making it through to my bad. I got Arizona making it through to play North Carolina in my bracket here, I see. So North Carolina beats Arizona, I think. My final four is North Carolina versus UConn, Houston versus the Tennessee Volunteers.
Interesting pick.
I'm only one leg different. Yeah, my only one different is Baylor.
So you've got UConn versus Baylor and Houston versus Tennessee?
Yeah, I do.
We're kind of in the minority with Tennessee. And I'm not in love. It's crazy. I'm not really in love with this Tennessee team. So it wasn't like when I wasn't like, oh, I'm taking Tennessee no matter what. I just went through the bracket. And I was like, I think they'll win. I think Tennessee will win this game. I think they'll win that game. But let's be real. Tennessee are they're the Purdue of the SEC.
They really
Tennessee.
are.
They're good all the time, but they always
gang.
Like they get to the tournament and they'll score like 38 points. It'll be like, wow, you guys are playing your worst game of the year right now.
Mm-hmm.
They often do this in the tournament, but I think this year's different for them.
Yeah, I agree. But you said it, Morency. They've had years. I remember my buddy did an NCAA survivor pool. I took Tennessee. They lost their first game. It's like 16.5-point favorites. I'm like, these guys reek. And you're right. They have a lot of bad history, but I think they're a different Tennessee team this year, too. They get over that first hump, they can go on a little run. Agreed.
Well, they got Dalton Connect on this team, the kid that transferred from Northern Colorado. He's going to be an NBA lottery pick, and that's one of the things you need in this tournament. You need somebody you need a star player that's going to be able to carry you, and okay, we can count on this guy. He's going to give us 20 points in this game for sure, and he's that guy. So I think that's the dynamic that's a little bit different for Tennessee, and I think their path is pretty favorable. But listen, it's the end. We saw this week, guys, 5 1 seeds lost in their tournaments. Now a lot of these teams don't really care about those tournaments, but it's still. This is going to be a wild and chaotic tournament, Joe. There's going to be a lot of upsets early, but in the end, chalk always prevails.
Yeah. Out of all the one seeds, is there any one seed that either of you can see falling out in the first? Like,
No.
could you see Purdue falling down in that first round?
No,
they lost
this
last year. They lost last year in
Yeah.
the first. I don't think they do, but I've got Purdue. It might be a little ambitious, but I'm going to step up. I got Purdue on my bracket losing their second game to TCU. I think TCU knock them off, but that might be a little bit much. After that, if it's, let's say Purdue gets by Utah State or TCU, that's who they'll play, they're probably going to end up with Gonzaga after, right? Yeah. So, excuse me, if they get past like the first game, they're going to get Gonzaga after. So Gonzaga is another one. They'll be a live team. Normally Gonzaga are the ones that get upset in the tournament, but now suddenly they'll be in the underdog role. So I think, Joe, that Purdue are the ones. North Carolina is another flaky one seed too. Like North Carolina can make the Final Four, but they could also lose to Baylor. They could lose to Arizona. Like all those teams are pretty evenly matched. But I'd say the two most dominant one seeds are Houston and UConn. But I think Purdue are super. Like Purdue have a seriously tough bracket, to get through. Like I said, TCU or Utah State. Then after you got to deal with Gonzaga. You got to deal with Gonzaga. You get through that, all right. You're going to have to deal with the Tennessee Volunteers after that. It's not an easy trek for the Purdue Boilermakers. They'll be the ones, Joe. I'm not in love with them. And I'm not in love with North. I like North Carolina, but that's a toss-up.
They're flaky too.
Yeah, I have them losing to Gonzaga, and then Gonzaga and Tennessee moving on. So
we can say a lot the same about a lot of these teams. They could win or they could get knocked out in the second round. You know what I'm saying? There'll be a lot of big-time teams that are eliminated on Saturday and Sunday this weekend. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, guys.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the Purdue that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
Unlike the last one, I don't think these managers are going to sign up for a 1-1 draw. I think the Spurs know they need to win this one. They need the full 3 points to try to get into Champions League position.
But generally speaking, I find Klopp and Liverpool's approach to be much more effective, which is you disrupt those patterns of play, you get in the middle of those triangles, and you put them on the back foot.
Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca. Only on SportsGrid.
Hunter Dickinson and Kevin McCullough Jr. are not going to be fully healthy for the NCAA tournament. I think KU might be in danger of a very early round of 64 exit in the Big Dance.
They're playing really, really good defense, and to me, that's what you need this time of year. You got to be playing great defensively to give yourself a chance. Not like Kentucky, who gave up 97 last night.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Let's do this thing. The Monday Night Meltdown continues. This is Sports Rage. I am Morency. Countdown to Madness is officially on. And the books are starting to post, a million different props and angles, different ways you can bet on this. Number of number one seeds to make the round. Regional exact final forecast. Regional name the finalist to reach the final. All kinds of stuff. And here we go, actually. I actually just accidentally clicked on the West regional, and it just happened. So North Carolina and Arizona to play in the final of the West regional, and that's actually what I have in my bracket. That's plus 340. Not bad. Plus 340 for North Carolina and Arizona to play in the West regional. But I wanted to start off first. We'll get the bracket up, but I wanted to go off first as far as just to win the region. All right, so to win each region, let's start off with the West here. So Arizona are plus 275 to win the West. North Carolina are the second choice at plus 325. The Baylor Bears are plus 550. Alabama are plus 650. Michigan State is 11-1. St. Mary's is 11-1. New Mexico 14-1. Clemson 20-1, Mississippi State 20-1, Nevada 20-1, Dayton 28-1, Grand Canyon, the Lopes 40-1. The Lopes make the tournament again, but I think the Lopes are actually in trouble. I know a lot of people think they're a trendy pick, but I don't think it's a good matchup for them. I think St. Mary's will beat Grand Canyon, Cam. So I think
Agreed.
Grand Canyon's tournament appearance will be very short-lived. Teams that play slow are frustrating to deal with unless you play them often. It's almost like playing a military academy in football, where it's just so different. We're in an era right now of run and gun so much, and Grand Canyon push the tempo. They play against teams that just want to run and gun. St. Mary's, man, it's like going to the dentist. It's like you're waiting in a dentist office, then they pull out the drill. No, it's true. Like playing them it's frustrating.
That's a great line. Playing St. Mary's is like going to the dentist, right? A lot of pain, a lot of suffering, but
it's like you wait in the office forever only to know you're going to get pain. You're getting a needle in your gum. It's just basically like St. Mary's. When they have the ball, they keep it for the entire shot clock. So you're constantly playing defense, running around. It's mentally draining. And then when you get the ball, they're in your face all the time. So, and like I said, most kids today, they can't deal with that. Like, it's going to bother them where they're not used to it. So I could see St. Mary's just pestering Grand Canyon and Grand Canyon being unable to hit shots. They're going to get frustrated as the game goes on. But this is a competitive region here. I think North Carolina are good enough to survive and get through this with Davis and Baycott and the experience that they have. But you've got some live dangerous teams here. But I think North Carolina do win the regional at plus 325.
You know what, Gabe? I like North Carolina, but I'm going to disagree. I think Baylor offers the most value. I think they're battle-tested. Their schedule is very difficult. Beat Colgate, take care of New Mexico or Clemson. You know what I mean? I think they can beat Arizona. You know what I mean? They're one of those teams. I think they could beat North Carolina. So I think Baylor is just a very, very dangerous 3-seed. Toughness of schedule. Been a team that's been there before, well coached. I think that's a great number for Baylor. So that's where I'm going to be going. I like the Baylor Bears there.
I pushed Baylor for the last month as a dangerous sleeper not a sleeper, but they were 40-1 coming into the tournament. They don't win, right? They are good. They're athletic. They do play a tough schedule, right? They are one of the better teams in the country, but they're just not quite as good as these other teams are. And we're seeing this right now. Like if you look at Baylor and you look at their losses, when they step up in class, they lose. It seems to be a thing with Baylor when they step up in class. But they're in the mix. I mean, all these teams are so evenly matched. Looking at this bracket here, so North Carolina is going to get the Howard and Wagner winner. And let's get into this game, actually. What's the updated point spread here now? Is it up to 3? So, yeah, Howard are now laying 3 to Wagner. The total is 128 in this game. Wagner are one of these teams that were not good this year, right? Like, they're not very good, but they got hot at the right time, and they won their conference tournament. And all you need to know, like, listen, they were 14-15 in the regular season. And they play in a bad conference, all right? The Northeast blows. So, like, they play in a bad conference. They were 7-9 in conference play. But they won. They got hot and won their conference tournament. So here they are. At least if you look at Howard, at least Howard are like a winning team. And the thing with Howard is, too, what I like about these guys tomorrow, and I'll be on Howard, guys, is their guard Bryce Harris. I'm always looking for in the NCAA tournament, I always like when a team has a score, right? You know, look like the Abrams kid when he was on Oral Roberts, the kid now on Texas. If you're one of these programs, you're a smaller program. Basketball, man, if you got one dude, like, you can do damage, right? And this kid can score, right? He's going to score, 18, 22 points or something tomorrow. And I'll tell you what, Wagner are terrible. Like, they're a terrible shooting team. Like, they shoot like 30% type stuff. They're not very good. I get it. Howard are no power or anything like that, but I think Howard will win this game tomorrow, guys. I'm not really in love with the total here when you get into teams like this at 128. I think it's a pretty accurate number. Small lean to the over, but I will be on Howard in this game. And then the nightcap is the tough one tomorrow. Colorado State and Virginia. Colorado State are actually 2.5-point favorites in this game right now. Of course, these games are in Dayton, Ohio. The total is 120.5 in camp. This 120.5 is one of the lowest totals in NCAA tournament history, actually. There hasn't been a total under 120 in the NCAA tournament since 2019. So this one's right on that number at 120.5. Who are you taking with Colorado State and Virginia?
You said it, Gabe. This is a really tough game, and I know Virginia's let us down, but I just think Virginia is better than Colorado State. I look at the Mountain West, sure, they got teams in, but Colorado State, Gabe, when you look at this team play, did they really impress you, like, down the stretch? The Rams are a team that I don't think are going to handle Virginia well. Virginia is they're battle-tested. They can frustrate you with defense, and the thing is, I just don't think Colorado State has the horses to beat them. I'm actually going to take Virginia. They're getting 2.5. I'll take Virginia. You said it, the horrible, like, very tough game. I got to take the over in this game. You want to talk about clean rides to the under? Like, how do you not? Like, at that price, like, if we go on a little bit of a stretch where we get some points, I know that's very dangerous saying Virginia and over, but I'm leaning over.
Virginia are an incredibly frustrating team. I bet on them a lot, and when you watch their games, they're a frustrating team to watch. They are relentless defensively. Like, they no one can dispute this. They're one of the best teams in the country defensively by far. Very similar. They're even better defense. Like I said, St. Mary's like going to the dentist. Virginia is like going to get surgery. It's worse.
You're right.
Like Virginia. Virginia is like, listen, we're going to cut you open. We're taking a limb out of you. Like, we're taking an organ. Like, Virginia, like, their pace. And the thing is, too, if you're Colorado State, this is a tricky venture for you here. You have to travel to Dayton. It's not an easy travel situation for you, right? You're in Las Vegas, and I don't know if they stayed in Vegas or they went back. I think they went back home, actually. So you're in Vegas, you go back home. This is a pure road game. It's a road game for Virginia, but whatever. You're going to Dayton, Ohio. You were just in Washington, D.C. all week. It's not a tough road trip for you. And Virginia at least have the experience of preparing for these type of games. As I talked about, sort of like we just talked about with like Grand Canyon, Cam, where I think it's like it's not fun to play against the team because it's sort of like a fighter. Like, you imagine if you're a stand-up fighter and you find out, dude, you're fighting a wrestler and he's going to take you down. That's what St. Mary's do. They're like a wrestler. They're going to take you down, and you're going to have to find a way to get up, and it's draining, and they just rinse and repeat and take you down. Virginia, by definition, if Virginia were an MMA fighter, they'd be the most boring fighter in the company. But they would also win a lot. They would just take you down and hold you there, right?
Right.
That's what Virginia want to do to you. And the thing is, Virginia have better athletes than Colorado State, so they'll be able to score a bit. And my last thing about this is, to beat Virginia, you need to shoot the ball well. Like, if you shoot threes on Virginia, you can beat these guys. Sort of like that Syracuse zone. But if you're Colorado State, you're not a great three-point shooting team. Like you said, they started off the season hot, but they've cooled off a bit as the year went on. And it's tough, Cam, if you're a college team to now, like, if you're Colorado State, yeah, the three ball will fall at home. But now you're going on the road on a neutral court to Dayton, Ohio against one of the best defenses in the country. I don't expect Colorado State to have a lot of success on offense tomorrow.
You know what, Gabe? Another thing, too, I think is really important in these tournaments, kind of like bowl games, and me and you, this is not our first rodeo. Virginia has a reset button here. It was a very disappointing year for the Cavaliers, and now you're in an opportunity to actually win a game, get a little bit of momentum. I'm just surprised. I thought they would be like -1 in this game instead of getting 2.5. I'm all over Virginia in this spot. So I think we're on the same side there, and I think you said it. Colorado State, Gabe, you take that show on the road, they can look really bad. You said it. They almost have to hit like all their shots to beat Virginia. Good luck with that. But these guys are going to suffocate you like a python. I'm on Virginia, man. Big time. They're figuring out a way. That's the whole thing about these tournaments. We talk about hot teams, cold teams, buddy. You know this. Sometimes these cold teams, they get a chance again. It's like, like you take these hot teams in bowl games. Oh, yeah, they're on fire. Yeah, now you got a break, and now you got a reset. Now you got to think about things. I think that this break is great for Virginia, and they're going to take it seriously and beat these guys down.
No, it's true what Cam is saying. Oftentimes, teams that win their conference tournament, it's bad. Like, if it was an upset, and then you're going in, like, you're not going to be able to match this again. Jay Wright talked about it about NC State, and I got to respect what Jay Wright says. I mean, the guy's one of the greatest coaches of all time. So Jay Wright was talking about NC State last night, and he said they're in a really tough spot now, and he would know. He said beating your rival, the team that you hate so much, and you haven't won that tournament in forever. He said they're gonna have a really hard time dialing it up and finding that again. And so we could argue the same thing about New Mexico, but I feel a little differently. I think New Mexico are going to be a thorn in people's sides, actually, with Pitino coaching them. I got Clemson beating New Mexico. But as far as the West is concerned, so we talked about Howard and Wagner. I do believe that Howard will be the ones, but whatever. Then they'll get sacrificial lamb against North Carolina. Mississippi State play Michigan State, the 8-9 matchup. And the committee knows what they're doing when they make these matchups. And they set this one up, Cam, for a made-for-TV North Carolina versus Michigan State. Tom Izzo won't be around forever. Get him on TV in the afternoon there, Saturday night, whatever, against the North Carolina Tar Heels. Michigan State will find a way to win this game against Mississippi State, and then you're going to get a North Carolina-Michigan State game this weekend. That'll be pretty cool.
I agree with you, Morency. I think Michigan State actually is going to win their first game, and I don't think it's going to be that easy for North Carolina against them as well. So, yeah, we're riding Sparty.
I think North Carolina will beat them down. Not kill them, but I think they're much better.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
Ah, that's the Purdue that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
Unlike the last one, I don't think these managers are going to sign up for a 1-1 draw. I think the Spurs know they need to win this one. They need the full 3 points to try to get into Champions League position.
But generally speaking, I find Klopp and Liverpool's approach to be much more effective, which is you disrupt those patterns of play, you get in the middle of those triangles, and you put them on the back foot.
Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca. Only on SportsGrid.
Hunter Dickinson and Kevin McCullough Jr. are not going to be fully healthy for the NCAA tournament. I think KU might be in danger of a very early round of 64 exit in the big dance.
They're playing really, really good defense. And to me, that's what you need this time of year. You got to be playing great defensively to give yourself a chance. Not like Kentucky, who gave up 97 last night.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
I don't really want to spend too much time going over who should have got in and this and that, because whatever, it's irrelevant and there's so many games to break down and look forward and not back. And also, if you're arguing and you feel slighted about being, you're arguing that you're the 67th best team in the country, not the 70th best team in the country. Like, really? Like St. John's. Okay, I think they should have been in St. John's, but they weren't going to win the tournament. They would have won a game, it would have been fun, and then it would have been eliminated. Right? But what I don't understand is the Big East. Like, the Big Ten got 6 teams in, which was very surprising. Mm-hmm. And not really shocking, but what's surprising to me is the Big East gets 3 teams, yet they have the defending champion in the UConn Huskies, who are the best team in the country. So you should cut a little bit of a break to the other teams in this conference that they have to freaking deal with the UConn Huskies. And then you make the other teams a 2 seed and a 3 seed with Marquette and with Creighton. So how can you justify saying, well, you have the national champion and these other teams are good enough to be a 2 seed and a 3 seed, but the rest of your conference sucks? It doesn't make any logistical sense. Like, you got to say, well, look, if this team's a 1 seed and the other 2, we got a 2 and a 3 seed, it's obviously a pretty good conference. And that's the whole thing, Cam, because they rank the conferences through the year. And anybody that knows college basketball knew this year. We all know the Big 12 is the best conference in basketball. The Big East was ranked second. According to the metrics, the Big East was second, and then you turn around and you only give them 3 teams. Very, very strange. Listen, I'm not a bracketologist. I don't care. We're here to bet on these games.
Yep.
My Michigan Wolverines aren't in it, so what do I care? It is what it is. But it seemed like the committee was really all over the place, like this year. And another thing is the Mountain West is really good this year. And you got teams playing in the play-in. You got 2 Mountain West play-in teams. Like Colorado State and Boise State both in the play-in. And you gave them some really bad seeds. Like Utah State won the Mountain West. They got a terrible seed.